Hi, my name is Robert, and this is Broken America, the show where we pull back the curtain on the systems, corporations, and engineering decisions that are quietly picking your pocket while you sleep. Today, we are going inside the most overlooked room in your house. Not the garage, not the kitchen, the laundry room. Because while you were not paying attention, the washing machine, one of the most essential appliances your family depends on every single week, was systematically redesigned to fail on a schedule that benefits the manufacturer and nobody else. The three brands that refuse to go along with that plan are the ones we are naming today. And by the end of this investigation, you will never walk into an appliance store the same way as again. How the washing machine industry died. I want to start with a story that I find myself thinking about at 2 in the morning because it just refuses to leave me alone. A few years ago, my washing machine died. A Whirlpool front loader, 6 years old. I called a repair technician named Mike, 20 years in the business, and he came out, opened the machine up, looked at it for 4 minutes, and then looked at me with an expression I can only describe as tired. Not tired like he needed a nap. Tired like a man who has had the same conversation 10,000 times and cannot believe he is still having it. He said that the bearing is gone. It is sealed into the plastic tub. The part alone is $400. With labor, you are looking at $700. Your machine cost $800 new. He packed up his tools and left. And the whole drive to the appliance store, I kept thinking, how did we get here? Because here is the thing. My grandmother owned a Maytag top loader from 1972. That machine washed clothes through 5 decades, 2 house moves, and 7 grandchildren's worth of grass-stained jeans. The only repair it ever needed was a $12 lid switch in 1989, which my grandfather installed himself on a Saturday afternoon. $12. 50 years. The answer to what changed is not one thing. It is a cascade of deliberate decisions made by corporations who figured out that a machine that lasts forever is the single greatest enemy of a business model built on repeat purchases. A 50-year washing machine is a financial catastrophe for a manufacturer. A 6-year machine that costs more to repair than replace is a revenue stream. And the American appliance industry has spent 30 years engineering itself toward that revenue stream. It starts in the mid-1990s when the Department of Energy tightened efficiency regulations. On paper, a reasonable environmental policy. In practice, it handed manufacturers perfect political cover to strip out durability while wrapping the whole project in the language of environmental responsibility. This is the most underrated part of the story. The regulations did not kill the washing machine. The manufacturers used the regulations as a shield to remove every component that could be cheaply repaired and replace it with a sealed assembly that had to be expensively replaced. The sealed bearing is the clearest example. Old top loaders had accessible bearings, $20 in parts, one Saturday afternoon, another decade of life. Modern manufacturers fuse the bearings permanently into a plastic outer tub. A $20 wear item became a $400 assembly replacement. That is not an engineering compromise. That is a business model. And then there is the LG Spider Arm, a cast aluminum drum support that corrodes on contact with the very detergent the machine requires you to use. Over 40,000 documented complaints in the Consumer Product Safety Commission database. No recall, just a quiet warranty extension that most people never knew existed. The lemon was the design. From the very beginning. The brands you must avoid. Let me be direct with you. Because I think you deserve directness, and I am tired of content that dances around the answer. Samsung makes a beautiful washing machine. It has a tempered glass lid, a brushed steel finish, and a digital display that looks like something out of a science fiction movie set in a future where laundry is glamorous. It will also, statistically, cost you more money in repairs and replacements over a 10-year period than almost any other appliance category in your house. I am not speculating about this. I spent an entire weekend cross-referencing J.D. Power reliability data, Consumer Reports long-term ownership surveys, and independent appliance repair technician forums, where the people who actually fix these machines talk to each other honestly because there is nobody from corporate listening. Samsung washing machines consistently rank at or near the bottom of every long-term reliability study conducted in the last decade. Not occasionally, near the bottom. Consistently, repeatedly, year after year, near the bottom. The UE error code is the single most common consumer complaint, and it is the one that every single time I explain it, I watch people's expressions shift from confusion to genuine disbelief. UE stands for unbalanced error. It means the machine's onboard sensors have detected what they interpret as an unbalanced load and are refusing to continue the spin cycle as a protective measure. In theory, this is a reasonable safety feature designed to prevent the drum from vibrating excessively. In practice, the sensors in Samsung machines are calibrated so sensitively that the machine will stop mid-cycle because a single T-shirt has shifted slightly to one side of the drum. You open the lid, you redistribute the load. The machine runs for 30 seconds. It stops again. You redistribute outside again. 45 minutes later, your closer is still soaking wet. The spin cycle has never completed, and you are standing in your laundry room on a Sunday evening, genuinely questioning your life decisions. I am laughing as I describe this, but I want you to understand clearly. I am only laughing because if I do not laugh, I will just be furious. People paid $1,200 for this experience. People financed $1,200 machines at 18% interest to stand in their laundry room, rearranging wet clothes at 10 o'clock at night. LG has the spider arm crisis I already detailed, plus a secondary and largely undisclosed failure mode in their direct drive motors that the company has simultaneously denied publicly and addressed quietly through warranty extensions. I want to say this plainly. If a company extends your warranty without publicly acknowledging a defect, that company is telling you, in the most corporate language possible, that they know the product is broken and they do not want to say so. That tells you everything you need to know about how that company views its relationship with you. Modern Maytag deserves a paragraph of its own because it is the most heartbreaking brand name on this list. In 2006, Whirlpool Corporation completed its acquisition of the Maytag Corporation for approximately $1.7 billion. I actually called my mom after I confirmed that acquisition date and the specific year, because she grew up with a Maytag in the house. And I knew she had lived through exactly this moment, the precise moment when a brand that meant something stopped meaning it. She picked up the phone. I told her what year the acquisition happened, and she was quiet for a second, and then she said, "That explains everything." The Maytag Centennial and the Maytag Bravos lines that rolled out following the acquisition are built on the same manufacturing platform as Whirlpool's budget consumer lineup. They share components. They share assembly lines. They share failure modes. The legendary Maytag engineering department, which had spent decades developing some of the most durable residential appliances ever manufactured in this country, was dissolved and absorbed into Whirlpool's standardized production process. The Maytag repairman in those old television commercials was lonely because the machines never broke. Today's Maytag repairman is not lonely. He is booked 3 weeks out. Whirlpool's own consumer lines, and specifically the Cabrio top loader, have a documented bearing failure rate that independent repair technicians describe in forum posts and service records I have personally read, as a matter of when, not if. The Cabrio puts a very large drum on a bearing assembly that is engineered to a specification that cannot sustain that load over a normal appliance lifespan. The physics of the machine are working against the longevity of the machine from the first cycle. And because the bearings are sealed into the plastic outer tub using the same welded assembly method I described earlier, when the bearing fails, the repair bill exceeds the value of the machine every time. So where does that leave you? Brand number 1, Speed Queen. I want to tell you about a conversation that completely changed the direction of this investigation. I had been building this script one way for about a month, and then this happened, and I threw out everything and started over. I was in a laundromat while traveling for work. I got talking with the woman who owned the place. She had been running it for 26 years, same location, same business. I asked her which machines had given her the least trouble over the years. She did not pause. She did not think about it. She pointed immediately at a row of plain white top loaders in the corner and said she had never had a real problem with them. They were Speed Queens. The oldest one had been running continuously since 1998. 26 years of commercial use, multiple cycles per day, every single day for a quarter century. I stood there looking at it, and I am going to be honest with you. Something happened in my chest, because that machine represented a standard of manufacturing we have almost completely eliminated from the American consumer landscape. Seeing it still running felt like finding something that was supposed to be extinct. Here is the distinction that most people miss entirely, and I personally believe it is the whole point of everything. Speed Queen is not a consumer appliance company. It is a commercial laundry manufacturer that also happens to sell machines to homeowners. That difference is not cosmetic. It is structural and philosophical and embedded into every engineering decision they make. Speed Queen is built by Alliance Laundry Systems in Ripon, Wisconsin, a company manufacturing commercial washing equipment since 1908. Their customers are laundromats, hospitals, military installations, and prisons. These are environments where a machine failure is not an inconvenience. It is an operational crisis. And so they engineer to a standard that is categorically different from anything built to satisfy a consumer market where the buyer will not discover the machine is poorly built until 3 years after the return window closes. The TC5 top loader is the model I recommend to everyone who asks. The transmission is steel, actual steel gears on the same mechanical principle as laundromat machines from 1975. Critics call it old-fashioned. Those critics will be buying their third Samsung, while the Speed Queen runs on its original transmission. The timer is a mechanical dial with no firmware, no semiconductor, no Wi-Fi connection to anything. When the power flickers, it does not lock up. It does not need resetting. It just keeps running. The tub fills completely with water. Your clothes are submerged. The agitator moves through that water with actual mechanical force. Clothes get clean the way clothes have always gotten clean, not through a sensor deciding how much moisture your laundry deserves today. The bearing is accessible and replaceable with standard tools. You can order any Speed Queen part from 1985 and have it by Thursday. The warranty is 5 years on a machine that almost never needs it. Is it cheap? No. $1,100 to $1,300. Is it cheaper than 3 Samsungs over 15 years? Significantly. Brand number 2, Miele. I have been obsessed with German manufacturing since I was 19 years old. My first real job out of school was at a shop that worked on European vehicles, and I still remember the first time I held a German machined component in my hands and felt the difference. Not saw it, felt it. There is a density to German manufacturing that communicates something before the part even does anything, a kind of physical confidence in the object itself. I went down such a deep rabbit hole on Miele's engineering history while preparing this script that my wife had to physically take my laptop away from me at midnight on a Tuesday. She was right to do it. But here is what I found. Miele is a German appliance manufacturer founded in 1899 in Gütersloh, Germany. It is still entirely family-owned. It has never been acquired by private equity. It has never been sold to a conglomerate. It has never been the subject of a shareholder presentation where a man in a suit explained that material costs needed to drop 11% to hit a quarterly target. In the current global appliance market, that is so unusual it almost sounds like fiction, but it is simply true. The Miele and Zincan families have controlled this company for over 120 years, and that shows up in every decision they make. Here is the fact that gives me goosebumps every single time I say it, and I have said it probably 100 times. Miele does not test their machines to survive a warranty period. They test every washing machine to last 20 years of average household use before a single unit is approved for sale. That is not a marketing claim. It is an engineering specification written into their product development mandates since the 1950s. Most manufacturers ask, will this machine last long enough that the warranty expires before it breaks? Miele asks, will this machine still be running when our customers' children are doing their own laundry? That is a completely different question, and it produces a completely different machine. The honeycomb drum is the most visible expression of that philosophy. The interior drum surface is covered in a hexagonal pattern that creates microscopic air cushions between your clothing and the drum during the tumbling cycle. This reduces the friction abrasion that causes fabric to pill and degrade over time. Your clothes do not just come out cleaner in a Miele. They come out less damaged. Measurably, demonstrably less damaged. Miele has the longitudinal data. The self-cleaning lint system eliminates the single most neglected maintenance task in residential laundry. Most machines accumulate lint in a filter that nobody cleans, which leads to reduced efficiency and accelerated motor wear. Miele flushes the lint trap automatically during the drain cycle. There is nothing to clean. The machine manages itself. Now, the price. $1,500 to $3,000. I know, but run the actual math. 3 Samsung machines over 18 years, plus installation fees, plus repair calls before each replacement. Your true cost approaches $4,000. A Miele running 20 years with near zero repair costs is not more expensive. It is a different accounting period. And if you live near a major metro with Miele service coverage, there is no legitimate argument against it. Brand number 3, Electrolux Professional Line. I need to slow this section down deliberately, because if I present this information carelessly, you are going to take the wrong thing from it and make an expensive mistake. Please stay with me for the next few minutes, because the distinction I'm about to draw is worth understanding precisely. Before I finalized this script, I called an appliance repair technician I know personally, a man who has been working on residential and commercial appliances for over 30 years, who has seen the inside of more washing machines than most people have seen the outside of. I called him because I had one specific question. I wanted to know what machine was sitting in his own home laundry room, not what machine he recommends to clients, not what machine the manufacturer's representative told him was reliable, what machine he trusted enough to put in his own house, with his own family's laundry, when nobody was watching. He answered without any hesitation at all. He had a commercial-grade Electrolux. And then he spent the next 20 minutes explaining why the specific model designation matters more than the brand name. And that conversation completely restructured this entire chapter. Electrolux is a Swedish company founded in 1919. Here is the thing that most consumers do not know. Electrolux operates 2 fundamentally and completely separate business divisions under the same brand name. The consumer division manufactures appliances for the residential market and distributes them through retail channels. Your Home Depot, your Best Buy, your local appliance showroom. The professional division manufactures equipment for commercial and institutional clients, hotels, hospitals, commercial laundry services, universities, correctional facilities, customers who run multiple full cycles per day, every day, and cannot afford a machine that fails. These two divisions do not build the same machine with different color panels. They engineer to different specifications, select different materials, design different serviceability characteristics, and support their products through entirely different infrastructure. They share a name. They do not share a product philosophy. The professional line is built with stainless steel drums and stainless steel outer tubs, not coated steel, not steel-wrapped plastic, stainless steel. The bearings are accessible and individually replaceable without specialized proprietary tools. The motors are rated for continuous duty cycles, meaning they are designed for the load profile of a machine running 8 to 12 cycles per day in a commercial environment, which makes the 2 or 3 cycles per day of a residential household almost trivially light by comparison. The control systems are deliberately simplified, not because the Electrolux engineering team lacks the capability to add 16 wash programs and a steam cycle and a smartphone app. Their consumer division has all of those things, but because the professional division operates under a different design mandate. Every feature that is not essential to the primary function of washing clothes is a potential failure point. And in a commercial operating environment, failure points are unacceptable, so they remove them. The machine that results looks, frankly, unimpressive. It is a white box with a dial. It does not photograph well. It would not get a second look on a showroom floor. It will, however, still be washing clothes reliably when every front loader on that showroom floor has been to the landfill and replaced twice. To purchase the Electrolux Professional line as a residential buyer, you need to go outside the retail channel entirely. These machines are available through Electrolux's direct commercial sales operation and through specialized distributors who supply the hospitality and healthcare industries. This is not a convenient purchase. It requires a phone call or a direct inquiry rather than an afternoon at the appliance store. But I would argue that the inconvenience of the purchase process is itself a useful filter. Consumers who go to the trouble of buying through a commercial channel tend to be the same consumers who are serious about what they own and willing to invest in ownership rather than consumption. I have shown this information to friends and family members who have expressed zero interest in appliances as a topic, and every single one of them stopped and paid attention when I explained that the same brand name that sells a mediocre consumer machine at Home Depot also sells a commercial machine to hotels that process hundreds of pounds of laundry every single day. The idea that you can access that same commercial standard, if you know which product line to ask for, genuinely changes the way people think about what they are buying. The price range for the Electrolux Professional line in residential appropriate configurations is $1,400 to $2,500. That is honest money. I am not going to tell you otherwise. But you are not buying a washing machine at that price. You are buying a laundry infrastructure, a piece of commercial equipment that will process your family's laundry for the next 15 to 20 years without requiring you to think about it, budget for its replacement, or stand in an appliance store making a decision you did not want to make. The hidden fourth option. Nobody talks about. I have been sitting on this section for about 6 months debating whether to include it in this format, not because the information is secret. It circulates openly in appliance repair communities and vintage appliance forums. But once you say it at scale, it affects the market, and I wanted to think carefully about whether I had gotten every detail right before I put it in front of a large audience. I decided that you deserve the complete picture, so here it is. The best washing machine available to the American consumer today may not be sitting in any showroom or listed on any retail website. It may be sitting in someone's garage or basement for $200 on a Facebook Marketplace listing, posted by someone who is remodeling their laundry room and wants something that looks newer. The appliance repair community treats this as common knowledge. Pre-acquisition Maytag top loaders, machines built before the Whirlpool takeover completed in 2006, are regarded by experienced appliance technicians as among the most durable residential washing machines ever manufactured in this country. The transmissions in those machines were engineered to commercial tolerances, and installed in residential machines that only ran a fraction of the cycle volume they were designed to handle. They are, in the mechanical sense, massively overbuilt for the job they were asked to do, which is exactly why they are still doing that job today. In houses where they were installed in 1980, 1982, or 1985. 40-year-old machines, washing clothes in perfectly functional condition. The same argument applies to Speed Queen units from the 1980s and early 1990s. Alliance Laundry Systems was building residential Speed Queens with the same commercial specification components they used in their laundromat equipment. Those machines are 4 decades old, and they are still running. You can find them. They appear on resale platforms regularly, usually because someone is renovating and wants an appliance that matches their new cabinetry, which is, and I am genuinely trying not to be condescending here, the appliance equivalent of trading a vintage Les Paul guitar for a modern instrument because the new one has a prettier finish. Their loss is your gain. What to look for when you are evaluating a vintage top loader? A mechanical dial timer rather than a digital display panel. A center post agitator in the drum. A steel exterior cabinet rather than a plastic one. Run a complete cycle and listen carefully. Grinding or rhythmic knocking sounds indicate transmission wear that may be beyond economical repair. If the machine runs quietly and smoothly, have a repair technician inspect the lid switch and water inlet valves, which are the 2 components most likely to need replacement on a machine of this age. Parts for both are inexpensive and universally available. Total cost for that service call and any necessary parts replacement is typically under $50. Compare that number to the repair bill for a 6-year-old sealed tub front loader, and tell me which machine represents better engineering. The verdict. Here is what I need you to take away from everything in this investigation. Every single time I arrive at the end of this particular story, something tightens in my chest, because it is never really about the specific product. It is always about something larger than the product. The laundry room is the most functionally honest room in the American house. It does not carry aesthetic pretension. It does not signal status. Nobody has ever walked into a dinner party and been impressed by someone else's washing machine. The laundry room exists purely to perform a function. You put dirty clothes in, and you expect clean clothes to come out. That is exactly why what has happened to the washing machine is so revealing about the broader relationship between American manufacturers and American consumers. When corporations decided to treat the most purely functional appliance in your home as a vehicle for planned obsolescence and engineered repeat revenue, they were not hiding their contempt. They were expressing it clearly in the language of product design. You are not a person they are trying to serve. You are a purchase cycle they are trying to manage. The 3 brands on this list share one characteristic that has nothing to do with features, nothing to do with aesthetics, and nothing to do with marketing. Speed Queen, Miele, and the Electrolux Professional line were all built around a foundational assumption. The person buying the machine deserves a machine that works, not just for a warranty period, not just for 6 years, but for the foreseeable future of their household. That assumption sounds so minimal, so obviously reasonable, that it almost feels insulting to frame it as a distinguishing characteristic. And yet, here we are. In the current American appliance market, that assumption is radical enough to put a company in a small and shrinking minority. Speed Queen decided that if their machines were good enough to run laundromats, they were good enough for your home, and they were going to build them to the same standard regardless. Miele decided that their family name was permanently attached to every machine they shipped, and they were not willing to put their name on something that would fail before the decade was out. Electrolux built a professional division on the premise that commercial customers who cannot afford failure deserve machines that do not fail, and then made those machines available to residential buyers who were serious enough to go looking for them. None of these are complicated philosophies. None of them require expensive innovation or advanced material science. They simply require a company to prioritize the useful life of the product over the frequency of the repurchase cycle. And that priority is fundamentally incompatible with the private equity financial model, which is why you will not find these machines prominently displayed at the end of a showroom aisle between a sale banner and a financing offer. The buy it for life philosophy is not nostalgia. And I want to address that directly because I hear the accusation occasionally, and I think it misunderstands the argument entirely. I'm not telling you to want the 1950s back. I am not romanticizing an era. I'm telling you to do arithmetic. I'm telling you that the most expensive appliance you will ever own is the one you have to keep buying. I am telling you that the repair technician who stood into my laundry room and told me my 6-year-old Whirlpool was not worth fixing was not being pessimistic. He was describing the completely predictable outcome of a machine that was engineered to produce exactly that conversation at exactly that point in the product life cycle. The corporations are counting on you to respond to the brushed steel finish, the curved glass door, and the touchscreen display. They are counting on you to walk past the plain white machine with the mechanical dial because it does not look like $1,200 worth of appliance. They are counting on the monthly payment structure to make the purchase feel trivial at the point of sale and invisible until the machine fails and you are back in the store financing the next one. They have built an entire industry around that sequence of events, and they are very good at executing it. Stop letting them be right about you. Buy the machine that a 30-year repair technician trusts with his own family's laundry. Buy the machine that has been running in commercial laundromats since before most of us were born. Buy the machine that a German family has staked 5 generations of their name on. Stop buying the marketing. Stop buying the plastic. Stop buying the screen. Buy the steel transmission. Buy the mechanical timer. Buy the accessible bearing. And build a laundry room that still works the same way 20 years from now as it does on the first day you turn it on. That is the list. That is the verdict. My name is Robert. This is Broken America, and I will see you in the next investigation.